Hello everyone and welcome to Talking Good Game. It's a match preview of England against Germany. The Euros are heating up. The big boys are going out and another one of the tournament favourites will be heading out on Tuesday evening as well. Gonzo, Germany, what's your thoughts on them?
Well, they're like a who's who of really good players, aren't they, really? They've got so many to choose from. And actually, they've got a really good squad. So they've got a number of really good players that can't get into the starting 11. And I guess that is a feature and a hallmark of many of the teams, England included, where you have really good players that are on the bench. There seems to be such a depth of quality now. And so many of these squads, be it Italy, England, Germany, France, they've got a strong 18, 20 players, haven't they? So with the 5 substitutes rule, it's incredibly handy. But I mean, look, they'll be disappointed with their initial loss to France. I think they may even be disappointed slightly with which was a draw to Hungary, 2-2 draw possibly, but it's been stacked, hasn't it? It's been hedged. That 3 people get through to the group where almost you can't lose. You know, it's like when you're in the arcade and you get a grabby machine, and there's ones that just guarantee you get something, and that's sort of what these Euros, apart from. You could self, of course, Geo. Most teams can qualify, so sorry, mate. Sorry.
Not all, though, Gonzo. Not all. Before we get further into it, I just want to point you in the direction of one people who are collaborating with the duration of the Euros. As Gonzo said, it's a who's who. If you want to find out more about the Germany squad, download the app today. The link's in the description and the pinned comments. Keep up to date with all your England news, but also your West Ham news. Plenty of transfer rumours circulating the Hammers at the minute. You don't want to miss out, so click on the app, get downloaded, click on it, and you set up what you want to see. Choose your favourites, so choose West Ham. You go in there and see news just for West Ham United only. You don't want to see the transfer rumours for the other teams. Keep up to date with West Ham. Find out the latest with Alex Kral. Find out the latest with Felipe Anderson. And, of course, the England squad as well, because there's big rumours going around with Gareth Southgate's rumoured starting 11, which always seems to get leaked in the morning of the game. And we'll see if that continues. There's already a rumoured leak, but you can keep up to date with the latest over on One Football. It's completely free. That's the best thing about the app. It's completely free. Get it downloaded today. As for Germany, Gonzo, I think they, along with quite a few of the other bigger names in the international stage, they're not that good. They're not as good as what they used to be. I don't think they carry the fear factor that they carried a few years ago. I would suggest that some of the countries that have gone out have also got that attached to them, like Portugal and the Netherlands. I would suggest maybe England as well, this tournament. You look at England, you look at Germany, and you just think they're a bit underwhelming. But there's almost so many underwhelming teams and so little teams that you look at and think, wow, they're favourites for that it makes it open. And when I say open, I mean open for anyone, whether it is Czech Republic or Denmark. Or I know Austria went out, but it's probably their best performance of the tournament against Italy, and they took it right to the death. It almost allows a competitive competition, which is good for the neutral, which I am now. But perhaps when you support one of these countries, it's possibly not the best thing. I think Germany have got problems because they don't have a defense. Well, they do have a defensive midfielder in Kimmich, but he's got to play on the right because they don't have a right wing back. So because they don't have a right wing back, the whole thing, their whole setup is based around almost trying to plug that weakness. But then they've created another one, which is in the middle of the park. And they don't have a goal scorer at the minute. Obviously, Mario Gomez was almost like a big tournament, big player. You get some players that when it comes round, he's almost guaranteed 4 or 5 goals for you, and that's worth its weight in gold. They don't have that at the minute. They've got Narby up there. He might still have to stick with him, or he might try Havertz up there. Sorry, it's almost like I don't know how a country such big, such talented as Germany almost has to put square pegs in round holes. Unbelievable. You know, De Boer was saying it about the Netherlands as well. He's saying they just don't have any class wingers at the minute. That's why they're having to play the formation. And it's almost like I just don't believe they don't have class wingers. Just like with Germany, I don't believe they don't have a good right back or right wing back, and they've then got to move Kimmich out of position and stuff. But I don't know. They just don't carry the fear factor, Gonzo.
Yeah, I don't know about that about Netherlands. I know we digress slightly. I've watched Netherlands. Does Justin Kluivert not play for them?
No.
Really? Well, Justin Kluivert on one wing, Depay on the other, surely.
No, they played with wing backs in order to not have to rely on wingers.
Anyway, I would suggest he does have them. He's just not playing them. Sorry, did you just ask me about Germany's players?
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think they don't have that fear factor anymore.
No.
I just when I saw them in the groups, I thought they were half an hour to go now. Hungary was beating them for a large portion of the game, and that was going to eliminate the Germans for the second time in a row.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, I know what you say about from neutral's point of view, and if you've got a vested interest, which obviously I do. I've got to say I've actually really enjoyed it as a neutral. We, leave the England games aside, I found it really interesting to watch some of these other teams. There's something, I don't know what it is, Gio. I just seem to have a bit more patience for it when it's this tournament, international football, than I will to tune into any number of the Champions League games that's on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I think there's almost too many. Whereas I don't know. I'm just more excited about this. Even those games, and I sort of have, I guess, attached myself to Italy a little bit, just because they tickled me fancy for the first time I saw them play, which has been, it's been really good. But I agree about these other teams. You look what Czech Republic did last night. And I've seen this so many times. Old Schnickedy, whatever his name is. You always do get one of these guys who pops up during the tournament as a goal scorer and then contests the golden boot, and he's going to be one of them. And you do sort of wonder, actually, Germany could probably do with him up front. They can't have him because obviously he's not from Germany, even though I think he plays there, doesn't he, for Leverkusen possibly. But I think they're a little bit bereft, but I would imagine a lot of their stock, and I don't mean in the last little while, but in the last few years, they just probably thought Werner was going to be their main striker. Shoo-in, right? Quick as pants, would see out. You talk about the tournament goal scorer, of course, that's Muller, who must be 100 now. So I don't think they expected him, because Werner's been good. It's just he's gone to Chelsea and he's lost all technique. It's like a toddler trying to kick a ball and they just fall over. That's what Werner's like. You toddler when you first take him out into the garden. But he wasn't like that, and he does have technique. It's just got to come back to him. So it's probably the depth in terms of striker that they don't have everywhere else. Though, Gio, I think they're absolute class.
Right, bringing us on to the last question about Germany. Which players do you admire the most?
I'll say, I mean, there are so many of them. Let's just go through a few. A while back, I can't remember what video, it may have been signings for West Ham, and I mentioned this guy a long time ago, Leon Goretzka, and I said he's a very, very good player. And I think he's a magnificent player, actually. And he can actually do everything. Everything. He can pass, he can tackle, he can score goals, he can head, he's 6'1", 6'2", a complete midfielder in many respects. And if he can't get into that team, which he can't at the starting lineup, then you think, well, okay then. And they've got Gundogan, they've got Tony Cruz in there, and then they've got these other guys who are really good. Gnabry will look back on this as an opportunity missed, and it's a funny old career actually, because he didn't look like anything at Arsenal. Just looked like someone that was fast. We've all seen these players that can run but can't do anything. And Valencia would be a good example. And they can't really do anything else too much. And he went to Bayern Munich. Thought, actually, he's got some dribbling skills, and he can shoot and he can cross. And I can't remember what game it was. He just kept on missing the goal and mistiming his kicks and stuff like that. But they've got Sane in their ranks, who I really like. I know he's not let it up. Again, the tournament's there for Havertz, and then I like Rudiger. I like Hummels. They've got some really good players, mate. Some really, really good players.
Yeah, I think the player that's impressed me the most for Germany is a player I don't know much of, to be honest with you. Gusens, the left wing back. I saw him in the first couple of games. Who's this guy? I did the Patreon video with Charlie just before the Euro started, and we joked about how something to do with the left back of Germany, and we both were like, who is Germany's left back coming into this tournament, actually? Because we couldn't think of one, and it's him. And when I watched him, he's been unbelievable, getting forward, arriving late in the box, coming in at the back post and stuff. I now know that he plays for Atlanta and stuff, but I didn't know that before the tournament. He's one of these players. That's the good thing about these international tournaments. I know you've spoken about it. Sometimes it's like you discover new players, and that element's gone to some extent. But there is some out there that you watch, you're like, okay, or you might have heard of them, you've just never witnessed them play. And he's the one that, out of everybody at the tournament, actually, I've watched him. I thought, wow, that guy is some player, and I've never really heard of him before. I think Kai Havertz needs to step up a little bit. He's scored at the Euros, which is, it's you always want that goal, don't you, to get it off. Kane's waiting for one kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Lowe's got to do something. He's got to do something with that striker, because Narby's not a striker. He's almost got too much number 10s. Timo likes to play off a striker. Havertz likes to play off a striker. Mueller, Narby, they all like to play just in behind the attacker. They need something to get them all performing well. And like I said, Kimmich is one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, probably the best defensive midfielder in the world, if you like. And he's playing right wing back, and it's just such a loss to the middle of the pitch. Kroos and Gundogan are good players, but they're quite similar, and they don't really protect that defence. But anyway, enough about Germany. Let's talk about England. I guess the first question is, would you stick with the back four that we saw from England? Germany play like a 3-4-3 formation, 3 at the back, wing backs, 2 centre mid, 2 number 10s, and a striker. So would you stick with 4? Would you switch to 3 in order to go toe to toe with Germany?
I'd stick with a 4 just purely because England haven't conceded a goal, and there ain't too many things that have been impressive about England, but not conceding a goal has got to be one of them. Little or no practice of this other formation in this tournament, and certainly not before. We've discussed this already. What Southgate wasted his 2 pre-tournament friendlies. We're not in a position. We've been swapping personnel, but keeping the same formation for a little while now. We're not in a position to start swapping personnel and changing formation.
I agree with you. I think Southgate might change it to back 3, because that was his tried and tested prior Germany's formation, so on and so forth. The one thing that would maybe give Southgate a bit of hope is the last 2-3 nights is that the teams with the back 4 have actually been winning against the teams with the back 3. We obviously saw Czech Republic beat the Dutch, who played with the back 3, but prior to that, Denmark played Wales, and for the first 10-15 minutes, Wales were incredible. All over Denmark were playing. And then they switched it. They took Christensen out the back 3, put him in midfield, switched to back 4. Then Denmark dominated the game from then on in against a Welsh side with the back 4. So I would stick with the back 4 too if I was an England fan. How would you like it to line up? James, Stones, Maguire and Shaw? I know you're a Chilwell fan, but like you said, Shaw's been sort of consistent throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I probably would. I would go with James, but defensively, I've been quite impressed actually with Walker in the last game. And I know he doesn't. I know he lacks a bit of ball control and whatnot, but actually, he may well have to do more defending. If you get, Gnabry's going to pop up all over the place. If he decides to pop up on the left, he is probably going to be the quickest player on the pitch, if as and when he does at times. To have Walker in there as a rescue thing might not be a bad idea. So I probably would keep Walker in there actually and go with the Stones, go Maguire. And I think for almost the same reason, I'm probably Shaw for his athleticism as well. He likes a battle as well. Shaw, he's a bit gritty, and I think that might be needed in this one. And of course, he's Man United, playing next to Man United with Maguire there's already an understanding. Let's use that understanding that's already established at club level, basically.
To the last couple of games, as England looked a bit bland with the Phillips and Rice partnership in midfield. But is this the one game that actually might benefit, or would you change it up?
This is a really tough one, because I think the obvious thing is if it's the Mount thing, isn't it? Because if he has been isolated and he hasn't been training, well, that's significant. It really is, particularly in tournament football. It's not just the training; it's the camaraderie as well. So that's a whole part, I think, building team spirit and everything. I'm not saying everyone's fallen out with him. Everyone hates him because he's been locked in his hotel room playing PlayStation. But it is a tough one. I actually, believe it or not, I might go a bit conservative here and actually go with Rice and Phillips. We are going to be attacked an awful lot more. So if we're if we're not taking the additional central defender, maybe to have those 2 in there. I also think we'll see a better performance from Rice, because I think he's going to be more active. He's going to have more to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Germany played quite narrow as well, with Mueller and Havertz playing behind a striker. So they're both busy. Phillips and Rice will almost have an immediate opponent. England's space, if you like, will come down the sides. So I think what you need to do is clog up the middle a little bit as much as possible. I think Phillips and Rice give you the best option, really. You've got 2 really good defensive players in there, 2 players who can tackle, can read the play well. And their passing is better than a lot of people give both players credit for as well. They're not the issue. The issue is the people in front of them not creating enough chances. It's not necessarily them. So I think those two, they're probably the first names on the team sheet for me, really, those two players, actually. I think both of them have played really well over the 3 games. They've both performed, and they've actually both been missed when they've gone off. Rice went off the second half against Czech Republic. England did next to nothing in the second half. So I think sometimes it's sort of like you don't know what you've got until you don't have it. I think with Rice and Phillips, actually, they almost look better when they're not on the pitch because you realise what they bring to the team. So that leaves 4 players. Let's jump to the striker first. Mr. Harry Kane, he's still not performing. Do you stick with him for a 4th game, or do you think we're just going to have to try something different?
I think you stick with him for half of a 4th game, actually, and this is the benefit, the luxury of having this new thing. Now, you used to have to. I think there was a reason why managers kept substitutions in the bag, because there weren't that many of them. You can actually make a substitution at half time. You've still got 4 left. It's not a problem. Use your bloody squads. We've already discussed how good these squads are of all the teams. Use it. I'd give him a half, Geo. I really would. There's going to be more space in this game. We have to be intelligent enough to use that. Germany are a powerhouse nation, won the World Cup many, many times, and they're not going to sit back and be scared of little old England. That's for sure. They're going to be confident in themselves and all the good players that we've already discussed. Because it's a massive game. It's one of the biggest international fixtures. It's like Brazil and Argentina. This is one of the big international fixtures. So Kane is a quality player, and I think if we can get service to him, there's space. Not that I think he necessarily runs in behind. He might be the person that feeds the running behind. But I would play him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's still a world-class striker, a world-class finisher. He's just had no chances, really. I've struggled to blame him. I don't think he's been good, but I struggle to sort of lay any blame at his door for his lack of goals, because whenever he's gone off, and whether it's Rashford or Calvert-Lewin's come on, they've also not got any goals. They've also not tested the goalkeeper. Right. So either all 3 players are completely rubbish, or there's a problem with the striker role in the England side. I think it's the latter here. And I agree with what you're saying. Against Germany, there will be a bit more space, time on the ball, and I think it might actually suit Kane's game, which is dropping deep. It can be frustrating at times, but he does it well. He does drop deep well, pick the ball up. And with the way that Germany play, will probably give you space in behind the wing backs out wide. So if Kane does drop deep, it allows, whether it's Foden or Sterling, it gives them that 20 yards to run into. And Kane's good at supplying those balls. He's one of the top assist creators in the Premier League last season. It's stupid not to utilise that. You can concentrate on his goal score, but he's got more than that in his arsenal, Kane. Right, this is the crunch time then, isn't it? It's the 3 attacking midfielders. Like you say, you've got the Mason Mount issue going on. He has been training, but with Ben Chilwell away from the rest of the squad. So he's trained, he's fit, but he's obviously not been included in any of the tactical set plays or anything like that. So it's been difficult. You've also got Jack Grealish. You've got Saka, who's man of match against Czech Republic. You've got Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho's not really had an opportunity yet. And of course, you've got Phil Foden, one of the most talented players in the squad. However, the most disappointing England player at the tournament so far. I know Kane gets a lot of the limelight, but I actually think Foden's been more disappointing than him.
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. I do also think that again, as much as they haven't played to Kane's strengths, don't we play to Foden's strengths? What you would probably say is because Foden plays a bit deeper, he's probably got a little bit more opportunity to create something for himself than Kane does, because he's in the midfield area. The Mount thing is interesting. Now, I would either play Mount or Foden. I'll give you my decision in a second. But the Foden one's interesting. I think Gareth Southgate's got a little bit careful here because he's Mason Mount. He's not Cristiano Ronaldo. There's a real limit. I sort of almost understand the Maguire one. The Maguire must start. Maguire must play. I get it. We haven't got a wealth of options. As I say, Mason Mount is a good player and he's had a good season. And he didn't have a bad season last season either. But he ain't, as I say, Cristiano Ronaldo, the multiple Ballon d'Or winner who's going to be the top goal scorer of ever, all time. Most goals of any footballer's ever lived or whatever. This is not what we're dealing with here. So he has to have a position where he can feel that he can take Mount out. That being said, I was very, very tempted to put him in for this because he does offer additional qualities that Foden doesn't, which is the work rate and the rest of it. But you know what? I'm going to have to let it go because I've already put Rice and Phillips in there. So I'm going to play Phil Foden. I'm going to play Jack Grealish. And the other guy I'm going to put in there is somebody that I didn't think was in form before the tournament. Well, actually, not that I didn't think he was in form. A guy that wasn't in form before the tournament. Even Pep Guardiola didn't think he was in form before the tournament. You didn't think he was in form before the tournament. But I'll tell you what, he's played himself into a little bit of form. And that's obviously Raheem Sterling. And there's going to be space behind the back line. And that's his game. So that's going to be my three behind Harry Kane. Grealish, Sterling and Phil Foden.
Yeah, I agree with two of those. I think Grealish picks himself. He has to start. Germany's weakness is right in the middle of the pitch. They don't have a defensive midfielder. They've got three centre-backs. So you have to imagine there's going to be quite a bit of space in between Harry Kane and Declan Rice. There's going to be a bit of room in there. Jack Grealish is the best player to have in there. He's 100%. He's going to cruise and going to be looking at over their shoulder. Either they ignore him and then Jack Grealish gets time and space, or you pull out one of their centre midfielders who's essentially got a man mark Jack Grealish. You're taking one of the German centre midfielders out of the game. Even if they did the latter, which try and stop Jack Grealish, they're not good enough. Kroos and Gundogan, that's not their role. That is not their type of player. And they shouldn't have to do that because they're better than that. It's almost like it's a waste of a talent having one of those players marking that. Their talent is not off the ball. Their talent's on the ball. It's creating chances and stuff. So this is where you put Jack Grealish in there. You're saying to Lowe, are you going to ignore him, or are you going to base your whole game plan around Jack Grealish? And if you do that, we will utilise other players on there. And we will. And do you know something, Jack? Even if you put Toni Kroos on Jack Grealish is still good enough to get the ball and go past him. So no matter what you do, you almost can't win here, Germany. So Jack Grealish is 100% a must start. And then it's a case of who comes around him. I think Raheem Sterling's played pretty well this tournament. He's obviously scored the important goal so far, which was against Croatia. I mean, I think you've almost got to reward that to some extent. So I'd be tempted to put him in. But I'd start Saka. I would start Saka because man of match in the last game, you've almost You've got to reward this performances. You can't say to Saka, sorry, mate, Mason Mount gets in because he put in two half-decent performances. Well, he played one game, put in one half-decent performance, and he goes straight back in kind of thing. But also Saka, he's on the left and he's left-footed. He's the one player that's probably most naturally going to cross it to Harry Kane. He's starved of service so far, so let's get the winger who can go down the side and cross it into him on the pitch. Let's provide for your striker. Yeah. But that means leaving out Foden. It means leaving out Mason Mount. I get your argument from Mount completely because I think when Germany are in possession, you need to get back into position. You need to stop them. And I'm not sure Sterling. Saka does work hard, to be fair. It's Grealish probably does, but I'm not sure Sterling is the best one to do that. Because like I said, I think Germany's best player at the tournament so far has been Goossens down the left. So it's difficult, but I think Saka should start, in my opinion. Yeah. Are you confident for this one?
No, I don't like what I've heard actually in the press conferences. In fact, the whole thing worries me. It started to worry me when he spoke about the Tottenham. Sorry, I keep calling Scotland Tottenham. I am sorry. Honestly, I didn't do it on purpose. When he was talking about the Scotland game. Is
it because it's a big rivalry or because we bottled it?
It clearly is. It clearly is. I've obviously got a bee in my bonnet about Scotland and Tottenham. So what he said about the Scotland game was that actually it was all fine. He alluded to the fact that the fans were het up and overreacting. But that's all right. I understand why you're overreacting. It's Scotland, but it's just another game of football, really. But I get it. That's what he said. Okay. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples. Number one, Leicester City, right? And the running. All the players were singing the tune that Brendan Rodgers was singing. Basically, we're not going for the top four. Anything this season's a bonus. That's what they were saying. And you listen to the press conferences, and clearly Rodgers is saying it, and that's the message he wants to give out. I always go back to the old story, Martin O'Neill at Celtic, what he tells the players to say. I've said it enough times, I don't need to repeat it. I also want to give the example of West Ham, which was David Moyes. Yeah, I want the Champions League. I really want the Champions League. Whenever the players are asked, oh yeah, we're really excited about qualifying for Europe, we're going for it. So they weren't straitjacketed, they weren't restricted. And I'm only giving the examples that each one was an ethos from the club or from the manager. This is basically the narrative we want you to run with. So it started the other day, and I think it was, do you know what? I can't remember now, but there's 3 of them, and it finished with Phillips yesterday. Whatever players they've trotted out. So it started off, England, Germany. So are you looking forward to England, Germany? Oh, well, it's just another game. It's just another game. I thought, okay. No, Southgate say it. Well, look, England, Germany, we just got to treat it just like any other game. Oh, okay. So now we're starting to get the narrative. And then, whatever, Luke Shaw said it.
Calvert-Lewin said something as well. I can't remember what Calvert-Lewin said.
Calvert-Lewin said, you're absolutely right. Calvert-Lewin said exactly that. Then Phillips said it. But, okay. Just another game. What are you doing? Okay, look, if it works and what you're saying is we all go in there calm, it's not another game. This is one of the biggest, richest, I don't mean money, richest fixtures, jewels in international football. This is one of the ones we get excited about. This is a biggie. It's steeped in history. It's steeped in tradition. The Germans certainly won't be saying it's just another game, okay? And Calvert-Lewin was right. I'll tell you what just another game is when Everton played Burnley last season at Turf Moor. That was just another game, right? Because you don't know the result and neither do I, what happened last season, right? And I mean the season before last, you probably will be cocky and know it. But you know what I'm saying? That was just another game, right? That was just another game. This is not just another game. I'll tell you why it's not another game. Because if you lose this game, you're going to be doing documentaries about it in 30 years' time. If you win this game, you're going to be doing documentaries about it in 30 years' time. It's a huge game. It's probably the biggest, for most of them, this is probably the biggest game, definitely the biggest game. Maybe not Foden or whatever have done Champions League final, but the biggest game in your career. It's not just another game. And I'm worried with what's coming out of their mouths.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, actually. If I'm an outsider looking in, we obviously discussed the Southgate comments part of the Scotland game, but after the game, it was 0-0. Southgate came out and basically said, another clean sheet, we've got a draw. Harry Kane tweeted similar, another clean sheet, it's another point closer to qualification. I thought and the funny thing is, social media and all that, it was like, Scotland celebrating the 0-0 draw. But so was the England management squad and the players. And I thought that's worse. And sometimes international football is almost like looked down upon to some extent. And when you hear this attitude from some of the ones involved, it doesn't inspire anyone when it's just another game. Well, it's not just another game. Every game should be treated like a cup final because eventually you will win the cup final if you go into it. Last night is a classic example of attitude over ability. Netherlands have got better players than Czech Republic, 100%. Memphis Depay is a better player than Schick. He just is. Frankie de Jong is a better player than Thomas Souček. Okay, yes. De Ligt is a better centre back than Kalas, who plays for Bristol City. Okay,
that's right. Yeah,
it is. But Czech Republic, better team. Their attitude was spot on, just like that. One striker influenced the game, and it was the one with a better attitude. One midfielder influenced the game, and there's one with a better attitude. You need to get what I'm trying to say. And I do think mentality and attitude sometimes comes through to it, because on the pitch against Scotland, you saw Southgate's sort of keep it calm kind of thing, but that was wrong. You were too calm. You allowed us to almost out battle you. And Germany have had a few scares. They're lucky to be in the last 16 kind of thing. But like you said, they're going to turn up for this because they've had their fingers burnt, if you like. They are lucky to be here. And I'm not confident for you either. Again, it comes down to the manager. It does come down to the manager because you have all the talent in the world, but I think there's a lot of rumours about what formation is being put out already. There's rumours that you're going to be playing with a front three of Sterling, Kane, and Foden. There's no mention of Jack Grealish or anything like that. So it's sort of like, surely not. And the fact is, his team lineup's getting leaked 5, 6, 7 hours before the game anyway. It's not a good look. I know it's such a small thing, and people say, well, hang on a minute, but in international, your coaching squad, your management squad's really small. You don't have that many people there. So how is this getting leaked out kind of thing? He's even got someone in his team that he trusts, if you like, passing on his team hours for the game. And you don't get it with other countries. Other countries are just, there's just no mention of it. Scotland, for example, we didn't know the lineup until it got tweeted an hour and 15 minutes for a kickoff. England, we'll do the Patreon video tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. or something. We'll probably know the England team. And it just sort of just says to me that it's just not as organised as it should be. You've had to change your security team outside the hotel. You're in London. The England team's based in London. Even that, you've managed to botch it up. How have you not got this right? But anyway, back to on the pitch. I'm not confident for you, but at the same time, I think this is the best team you could have played out of that group. I think France would have beat you. I think Portugal would have beat you, and I think Hungary would have actually beat you as well because they had what they did. They had what Czech Republic have got. But Germany, whenever they're the country out of that team I've watched, I thought they're not that good. I think you might beat them. But can I get your final words and your score prediction, please?
I fear it might be too late. I'm surprised at Southgate because he plays in the good England teams. I think it might be too late to give Stuart Pearce a call. I'd possibly give him a call and get him in to the changing room and to tell him how important England Germany is. Not have a go at them, but to see, oh crikey, he's excited. This guy's excited, kicking the wall and doing whatever else he's going to do and grabbing them and shaking them and come on. And I think they might need a bit of that rather than get the impression that they're all okay. Everybody, Gav's got more. Okay, let's all meditate before the game. You know what I mean? Sort it out. Slap. Come on, wake up. Let's get out there and play football. I fear it might be too late. I'm a little bit worried about that. And I think Germany might beat. I was going to say beat West Ham. What's wrong with me? Germany might beat England 2-0.
I think you might. I think you'll win. I think you haven't conceded a goal at the Euro so far. That is your strength. And there's that old saying. I don't know who said it. It might be Ferguson. I don't know who it was. It might have been Clough. It's one of these one of these phrases that everybody knows roughly, and that is that defense is win you titles. It might have been Fergie that said it. Clean sheets win you titles.
I think it was me that said it.
Well, you should be in that England changing room along with Stuart Pearce and John Terry or someone just riling the boys up.
Slapping people up, yeah.
You bring the logic and the phrases, but you've got that. You will be hard to score against. And Germany don't have a goal scorer. They've got plenty of players that create chances, but they're very wasteful. And while England haven't created a lot of chances at the Euros so far, you do have a goal scorer. All he needs is one good chance and he will score. And I think you'll do it. Like I said, I just think this Germany team, it's not very good. They're almost living off Germany 8 years ago and 12 years ago kind of thing. And, Lowe is on his way out, Flick's coming in. I think that's what Germany need. So I'm going to say England 1, Germany 0.
Ooh. Oh, anyway. Interesting. Oh, yeah, hold on. Before anyway, I'm doing a watch along. I've got my camera fixed. So on the forum channel, for the game, join me. Might not be here. Might sit in the lounge. Might not. Might fall asleep on the sofa if I do that. Keep me awake. Join me for the watch along. We've got a review straight away afterwards, myself and Geo over on this channel. Literally anything could happen. And of course, we've got the Patreon breakfast. If you're a patron, if you're not, check out the link below. With tomorrow morning. So where Geo's going to leak the England team news.
Brilliant. There you go. If you enjoyed the preview, drop a like on it. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. Make sure you download the One Football app. And myself and Gonzo will see you tomorrow. Catch you in a bit.